He graduated from Bakai Medical University, Pakistan, with a BDS degree in 2012. In 2015, he left Pakistan and ventured to Australia for pursuing a master's in public health from Queensland University of Technology. He is an ADC certified board certified dentist with a postgraduate diploma in digital orthodontics from the UK, Bill Masters Clinical Implant Program Sydney, and a postgraduate diploma in occlusion and porcelain veneers from Bespoke Smile Academy, UK. Currently, he's pursuing an MSc in aesthetic dentistry from King's College London, United Kingdom. He's popular for being the founder and principal trainer at Dr. Mac Dental Academy, where he and his team train international dentists for the ADC licensing exam. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Dr. Murtaza Makhdoom.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for this amazing introduction. I hope you all are well. My focus for today is to give you my tips and tricks and guidelines of coming to Australia. I remember my time, and when I graduated in 2012, I started looking at processes and ways in which I can go abroad. So I want to share my tips and tricks with all of you, and especially the things that you can't find on the website, because I feel like majority of the information is available on the websites and stuff. So I want to tell you like kind of like my side as well, what I feel, which you all should be thinking about as well when you're looking at going to Australia. What is your goals? And we want to just discuss that with all of you. So I've created this presentation. This is just like the cover for what DENTCON sent me. To be honest, I'm really honored and excited about this as well, because when you think about your journey, and it's been almost 10 years, and I feel like it's good that you're at a stage where you could, transfer your skills and some information with everyone. So the first thing that I wanted to begin is, whenever anyone's planning to go abroad, whatever's running in your mind, and I want to see if I can share that. It's not going. Okay, now it's going. Is whenever you're planning to do anything in terms of coming abroad, doing your ADC, going to a country, you should have a clear vision. And I genuinely believe in this. So when at this point, I think majority of the students or the dentists out there should be the ones who have recently graduated or currently doing their house job, or maybe in their final year of dental school, and they're looking at what are the options abroad. Now, Australia at the moment is definitely a great option for so many people who are coming abroad. And that's where the vision starts, is where do you see yourself? And I always ask, when people ask me, I want to come to Australia, I always ask them, what is your vision? Do you have a clear vision? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, and where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? Because that is so important. I get so many messages and people say, I want to do ADC. I was like, okay, why do you want to do ADC? They don't have an answer. And that's where I want to kind of like have a chat with you, with all of you, and we'll definitely do that more in the Q&A, is do not just dive in and say, I want to do ADC, go to Australia. Plan first, because when you're planning and having a good vision, things kind of like align a bit better. Now, this is me skydiving in 2017. The reason I've shared this photo is that's what majority of us do. We think that, okay, we want to go to Australia and we just dive in. And the difficult bit there is you don't have a person hanging to you when you do this. So you're all by your own. So all those smiles and the excitement go away as soon as we arrive out in a foreign country, and we have to start everything, and all those things start. And that's the time we start panicking, and that anxiety levels start, and we feel like, oh my God, where are we going? What are we doing? So again, to the same point, create a vision, have in mind where you are thinking and aiming to go. Then, which is again even more important, is make sure you're passionate about your vision or your goals. Because if you created something, if you're not passionate about it, that's what happens. Is I see people struggling even after 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, trying to do the ADC exam, trying to do a master's, trying to do a degree, they're still failing or not trying to achieve it because they were never passionate about their goal. And that's where the point comes in that, make sure you have a goal, but you're somewhat passionate about it. But if you're not, maybe there was something else that you could have picked initially that would have guided you a bit better. So whenever you try to create any roadmap, we're talking about Australia today, take us to few step back and try to analyze your situation and ask yourself, is Australia the best option for you? Or is it UK? Is it US? Maybe it's another country? That's something you need to ask yourself first. Then we talk about why ADC. And this is so important to understand because so many people say we want to do ADC, but their main objective is not doing the Australian Dental Council exam. The main concept is coming to Australia. So just try to divide these two things very clearly and think that, do you want to do ADC, become a dentist in Australia, or do you just want to come to Australia? Because there's other non-dental options which can actually work better for you, might be less stressful for you. They can still get you a PR in Australia. You can work there. You can have a great life in Australia as well. So it's so important to kind of like allow that. I think there's one person trying to enter. We might need to admit that maybe. Um,
Well, they're admitted, sir. We'll
okay.
keep on admitting people as they enter.
So then same thing, have a plan in mind and ask yourself all the whys. If you're saying today, I want to go to Australia, why you want to go to Australia? What do you want to do? Do you want to do a dental, stay in the dental field? Do you like Australia as a country? Do you want to go somewhere non-dental? And list all your goals. Because the moment you start listing all your goals, it's a clear vision in front of you, and you all start to feel that, okay, this is I can do. And that basically helps you analyze your situation. And then once you have the plan in mind, same thing again, review the goals and the plan just to make sure they're aligning it together. Now, this is very important because a lot of people say, I would love to come to Australia. Can I do come to Australia with non-dental or dental? This is something, it's completely upon your interest. And we'll discuss both the options today. You can do the dental, which is your ADC license exam. You can do the non-dental, in which you're still coming to Australia and use your dental degree and do maybe a master's in public health, or you can enroll in a PhD or an MPhil or something like that. And that will still let you work in Australia, give you the work rights long term, give you a residency living in Australia, and you can actually have a great life here as well. That comes down to two things, which is again very important, is what is your budget? Because see, it's very important to have a realistic approach. Like I would love to say when I was starting my journey that I wanted to go to the US. I really wanted to go to the US, but at that point, the visas were not happening. The situation was not in my favor, and Australia came out as an option. And I looked at the same thing. I was like, okay, what is the budget if I want to go to Australia? Do I want to stick to dental, non-dental? My focus was very strict. I was like, I want to become a dentist in Australia or US or wherever I go to. I don't want to work non-dental. So that was me. You could be on the other side, which is completely fine. Then I looked at your budget, which was, do you want to do this license exam while staying in Australia, working there, doing a degree, or do you want to do the same license, becoming a dentist in Australia, while you are actually in Pakistan? Because you can do it. You can just come, do the exam, go back. And I know people who have done that as well. And then we can talk about the pros and cons of both of them. So you both have a bit of an idea about it. Now, if I talk about just the dental for now, if you say that you have made your mind and you say, I want to go to Australia, I want to become a dentist in Australia, then there are three parts to becoming a dentist in Australia. Number one is you get your initial assessment with your ADC. That means a lot of people ask me is, am I qualified to work? If you have a 4 years bachelor's degree from anywhere around the world, I think most of our listeners today are from Pakistan. So if you have a 4 years bachelor's degree from Pakistan, then yes, you are eligible to work as a dentist in Australia. So you should be okay to get your initial assessment. The only thing they are trying to check is make sure you have done a dental degree. You're not trying to fake a degree or something. So they have their process, they check. Then the second thing, once you have your initial assessment is done, which can take you somewhere between 3 to 6 months, they just get some documents from your university, the transcript and stuff, and you can actually get that easily from your university. Then the second part, which is your written exam, that means your theory exam, that is conducted in 2 days. It happens twice a year, and I will go in detail about that as well. And then the third part is your practical, which is your clinical hands-on exam, which is again a 2 days, which is a bit more extensive. Once you have done all these three parts, basically you are qualified as a dentist in Australia. You just need to get your registration. Like in Pakistan, we have PMDC. In Australia, we have APRA, which is Australian Health Practitioners Regulation Agency. And this is the details. Now, if you notice, this is nothing like I've got it from a foreign website or anything. This is the Australian Dental Council website. And you all should be able to see this very clearly if you open the Australian Dental Council website, which is your initial assessment, the cost included in that as well, the written exam, the cost included with that as well. Now, if once you have your initial assessment done, it's valid for almost 7 years. After 7 years, you have to kind of like review it again. Your written exam, if you notice with the fees, it says 3 years. So your written exam is valid for 3 years. What this means is once you have done your written exam, after 3 years, it expires. And if you haven't passed your part two or the practical exam during that time, you'll basically have to redo the written as well. That's exactly what it means. Then you're looking at your practical exam, which again, there are a lot of dates now because previously it was happening in different areas. They were twice a year, like the written, but now it happens a lot of times during the year. So there's a lot of dates available. A lot of people can sit that and stuff as well. One other question that a lot of people ask me is this exam possible to pass? Yes, it is possible to pass. Yes, it's not easy, but I feel like nothing in life is easy. Everything is difficult. Even your dental school was not easy. But once you put in your hard work and skills and effort, with time, it does allow you to do this. Then it's a bit more on the detail going through about, initial assessment, what are the criterias. It's the same thing, we just need your basic certifications, making sure, you're a real person, you're not a fake person. Then your transcripts and your 4 years degree. Now, there's another point that a lot of people ask is, can I actually just do my dental degree and come to Australia directly? Yes, you can. Nothing stops you from coming to Australia directly from doing the BDS. The problem that arrives is that not now, but after you pass your ADC and then you're applying for visas and stuff, considering you're not a citizen or permanent residence of Australia, which a lot of people would not be, they require like a 2 years or 3 years experience. And that is the time where a lot of people struggle and they think that, oh, I don't have any experience. What do I do now? And that's why I highly recommend you can get ADC done and your qualification registered without your house job and clinical experience, but I highly recommend doing your house job and at least 1 year clinical experience in Pakistan before coming. It really helps you in the future when you're applying for visas and all those things as well. And then just the basic things as well. And then it's your written exam. It's done by the Pearson. It's an online platform that basically when you go to the written exam, previously it was happening on paper, now it's on a computer. So you just have to create a bit of an account, and everything is in the detail in the handbook as well. That's the cost of the written exam that is in front of you, and we'll discuss the cost a bit later in detail as well. Then is your practical exam, which is again a bit more expensive and it requires more work and to be done. And then once you have done the 1, 2, 3 parts, then basically once you have passed it, you are a registered dentist in Australia. The only thing you need to do is get your APRA registration done. They do a bit of a security check, which is a criminal check, which they get like a police record from all the way from Pakistan. You have to send it directly to the Australian body. You need to have an English exam done. Now, some people say, do I need to do IELTS or, the other test before doing ADC? No, you can do your all ADC without English exam. Once you do the ADC, then you can do the IELTS before registration. Previously, you need to do English exam first, but now they've changed it. So it kind of like works well. Then is your radiation license. But these are the things once you pass ADC, just the minor things that you need to do. Okay. Again, I've discussed this. Is it hard to pass the exam? No, it's not. Nothing is easy, but once you do it, you should be able to, once you do multiple attempts or single attempt, depends on how you're guided by and what your experience is, you can pass the exam. Now, this question is very funny, I would say, or a lot of people ask me this. Is it hard to get a job after passing ADC? And I always answer them this, that I don't know even a single person who have passed ADC and has not got a job. So that means definitely once you pass, you will get a job. So don't keep your mind thinking that, oh, will I get a job after passing ADC? 100% you will. 100% you will. Okay. Then we're looking at being realistic. And when I was in 2014 looking at options, there was one of my seniors who guided me, and he said that, Murtaza, be realistic. I know we think in a way that I will come to Australia, I will pass my ADC in 6 months and everything is going to be right. Let's be real. It takes some time. And with my experience, and I've been teaching so many students, almost 500 students have just passed under my guidance and so many more. It takes somewhere between 3 to 5 years on average. So if you feel like you can pass the exam in 2 months or 6 months, trust me, it doesn't happen. They're very rare cases, but generally you're looking at 2.5, 3 years, somewhere between 5 years, and it's really much required, that much time. The pass rate is low, and there's a reason for that, because there's a lot of Australian graduates coming in as well, and Australia wants to limit kind of like the job intake as well. So there's always available for Australian graduates. So the pass rate currently for ADC is under 5%. However, people are still passing, and it's not to be disheartened in a way that, I can't pass. I always tell everyone, if I'm sitting here, I've passed the exam talking to you, I feel like anyone can, and you can as well. Now comes to the budget. Now, this is me being very realistic to all of you. Like, when we decide that, okay, let's go to Australia, I want to do the ADC exam. How much money do I need? And this, I'm happy for all of you to take photos or screenshots, but this is really important. How much money do I need? I say practically, being practical or realistic, you need money for at least 2 attempts. So if I say the initial assessment plus written plus practical, it's $7,482 Australian. And the second attempt, I'm just adding for the part two. That means part two, you might need at least 2 attempts. And I've got that total to a 12,257 Australian dollars. I would say this is the minimum, bare minimum you need. Because majority of the time people are doing in 2 attempts, 2 theory, 2 practical. So this goes to another 2,000 or 2,500 on top of this. So you're looking at say about this 12 and a half to 15,000 Australian dollars as a bare minimum just to give the exam, which is just the exam fees and the registration fees. Then comes is because you will be practicing on your teeth and practicing to do the practical exam, you need around this much $5,000 for your home setup to create a home setup. And then depends on the course you want to take, maybe an on-site course, maybe an online course. There's both formats available. It can range somewhere between that. And it's not that you need to have all that money at once. You can have some of it in the start and some of it you can save later as well. But something like that for your ADC journey, you were looking at something like that. And I've added some miscellaneous cost as well, because I feel like there's so many times we feel like we all need to order more teeth to practice. We need to practice x-rays, or we need to practice some skilled OSCE examination practice as well. So you need more help, more guidance. So that's kind of like is also part of it, being from a realistic point of view. Then this is my favorite topic, and I always say that do some research. Everything on the website today, yes, I have my experience with my students, candidates, knowing people, but everything is available on the internet. If you do some research, if you look at the Australian Dental website, if you look at YouTube, Google, so much information available these days that you will be surprised how much information is out there. You just need to kind of like find out, get the guidelines, get the work, and then you should be able to kind of like get into this. The second thing I want to do some talk about is a non-dental, and that is also related is, should I do the exam while coming to Australia, while staying in Pakistan, or if I have the opportunity, should I come to Australia? I always say, if you have the opportunity and if you can afford it, even a smallest course, it's better if you can come to Australia. It's not impossible staying in Pakistan. I have students, I know people who have done it, staying in their country as well. But if you can come to Australia, it helps because you're living in the atmosphere, same culture, you're learning so much more. You can get an opportunity working as a dental assistant in the dental industry. You're already kind of like working in the same workforce. And this is exactly what I did. I got admission in Masters in Public Health. I think at that time it was around 42 lakh Pakistani rupees in 2015. I went to Perth, Australia at that time. It was a 2 years master's. Any course you pick, it has to be a 2 years degree. A lot of people message and say that my funds only allow me a 6 months course or a 1 year course. Unfortunately, you won't get a visa. So if you want to come to Australia, you have to do at least a 2 years degree. It could be anything, but ideally related to the health field. There's two other options, which could be you could study becoming a dental hygienist, which is a great career. You can earn great money, and it gives you a guaranteed permanent residency in Australia as well. And it gives you a lot of support as well, that you're already in the dental industry. Long term, you can always, once you pass your ADC exam, you can work as a dentist. But during that 4 years or 5 years of your struggle, you are basically in the dental industry, mixing things up. That helps. I know so many people who have applied scholarships for the MPhil PhD. Australia gives 60 to 70% scholarships for PhD programs, and you will be surprised how much can you gain and benefit out of it. So that is also an option. You can search about it, do some research about it. There's so many Australian universities. You can look into their profiles. You can look into the professors who are actually giving scholarships. You can email them. The best part about you'll notice about professors, they always reply you. So you can talk to them about, get a research topic and get into MPhil PhDs. But if you have an option and you are in the middle that should I stay in Australia or should I stay in Pakistan while do it, both ways you can. But if you can afford it, I would definitely encourage, if you can come to Australia, do your journey. It definitely helps you in a good way. Uh, I have over 100 videos on my YouTube channel that explains you about how to apply for a dental assistant role while staying in Pakistan, while coming in Australia, about how to start your part one written exam journey, about how to apply for visas. It has my lawyer details as well. And my lawyer does free consults. So if you see that video, and if you want, I can always share that information with all of you as well. But if you actually see how to get PR in Australia on my YouTube channel, in the details below, it's my lawyer's details, and he can guide you through as well on which masters you could do or how to come to Australia, which visas to apply, and he will definitely reply you back as well. And apart from most of the frequently asked questions, I have 7 of those videos over a half an hour long, a 30-minute long videos that guides you through on, how to do things, how to do ADC, how to apply for dental assistant role and everything, which can be a great help for all of you. If you want to reach out to me, I can definitely stop by my details of my socials. You can DM me. My only one complaint or one thing for everyone, if you're messaging me, you can message me in Urdu, you can message me in English, you can message me in Sindhi. I talk Sindhi as well. But whichever way you want to message me, at least please do some homework and then message me, because I always reply to people who I feel like is someone genuine and have they done their work. Because I get so many messages, people say, oh, I just want to do ADC. I was like, okay, what have you done so far? They don't know any idea. And it's just really painful, because when I see my inbox and my social media team checks it now, it's over like 70 to 80 messages per week. And when we actually see it per month, there's so many messages that until and unless someone messages and say, okay, Dr. Murtaza, I've done this work, I've done this work, I've done this work, I'm trying to do this. Can you help us? I would love to actually not just message, call you and help you as well. But if you've done some work, it basically allows me to guide you in the right direction, guide me in the right training, and then you could actually work out a lot better as well. So my very open and honest tip would be that first you decide, is Australia is a better country for you, or if you have a better chance going somewhere else. Then you decide, is if you really want to stay in the dental, that means you want to be a dentist, or do you want to do something non-dental, which, because there are options available, it might be less stressful for you if you don't like being a dentist. Then comes to, what is your budget? That will decide if you can come to Australia and do it, or can you stay in Pakistan and do it. Then you decide that which pathway is better for you. And if it is just coming to Australia for doing the exam, you focus on that. If it's more like coming to Australia and maybe staying in Australia, working on your permanent residency, and then at the same time, you look into getting your ADC exams as a plan B, then that is that option available for you as well. But that would be my basic tips. Everything, all the information is available on the ADC website. It is a bit costly. I don't know exactly now how, what in Pakistan, what are the rates going and stuff like that. But This is the minimum, bare minimum. If you're looking for masters and other things, then you have to add those kind of like on top of that as well. I was thinking, should we go for the question and answer now, and then we can go later to cosmetic dentistry? Is that suitable, best that way?
Exactly, sir. So we have many questions regarding the ADC prep and the first portion of the lecture. So we'll start with those questions. Once they're done, then you can start with the cosmetic portion.
Absolutely.
So, our first question is about the masters itself. You mentioned that people can do masters. First question is, can we do masters in clinical subject on scholarship? And related to that is, if a person does masters from Australia, can they have a job based on that?
Do you want me to reply this in Urdu or English?
Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Okay. So what I would say, maybe I'll talk about in Urdu, it may be easier for everyone.
Yes, sir.
So पहली चीज आई वुड से कि सबको अंडरस्टैंड ये करनी बहुत जरूरी है कि स्कॉलरशिप्स इफ अगर आप क्लिनिकल सब्जेक्ट में देख रहे हो दैट मींस डेंटल रिलेटेड एंड प्लीज करेक्ट मी इफ दैट्स द क्वेश्चन और नॉट
Yes, it
फॉर
is.
एग्जांपल बहुत से लोग कहते हैं कि मुझे पेरियो में रेजिडेंसी करनी है, मुझे प्रोस्टोडोंटिक में करनी है, ओरल सर्जरी में करनी है. क्लिनिकल सब्जेक्ट्स ओनली अवेलेबल फॉर सिटीजंस. सो अगर आप सिटीजन नहीं हो ऑस्ट्रेलिया में तो यू कांट गेट इट. सेकेंडली देर इज अ वे जिसमें आप कोशिश कर सकते हो कि आप बोलते हो कि यार आई रियली वांट टू गेट इनटू डेंटल बट आई वांट टू डू अ क्लिनिकल मास्टर्स या क्लिनिकल फेलोशिप. उसमें दो चीजें हैं विच यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. एक चीज, यू स्टिल नीड पार्ट 1 टू एंटर दैट कोर्स. यू स्टिल नीड ADC पार्ट 1 आपका पास होना चाहिए, उसके बगैर दे डोंट let you enter the course. Secondly, for example, if I do a 3 years clinical masters in prosthodontic program, उसके बाद भी I cannot work as a specialist ऑस्ट्रेलिया के अंदर जब तक मैंने अपना पार्ट 2 पास नहीं कर लिया. सो दैट इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्लॉज. और यहाँ पर मुझे लगता है बहुत से लोग कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं बिकॉज उनको लगता है कि यार अगर मैं पैसे भर के या स्कॉलरशिप करके क्लिनिकल प्रोग्राम कर लूंगा तो आई डोंट हैव टू डू ADC. दैट्स द बिगेस्ट मिसकंसेप्शन बिकॉज ADC आपको फिर भी करना पड़ेगा. आप मास्टर्स करके करो या नॉन मास्टर्स करके करो, अगर आपने पार्ट 1 कर लिया है तो द चांसेस ऑफ यू गेटिंग स्कॉलरशिप मे बी 5-10% लेस. लेकिन अगर आपने पार्ट 1 भी नहीं किया हुआ और आप डायरेक्टली आना चाहते हो clinical masters के लिए, then you have to be a citizen. Simple as that. Does that answer the question?
Yes, sir. And the second
What
one
was the
was if
second part of it? Yeah.
the second one was if we're doing a master's, let's say in a non-clinical subject, can you do a job on the basis of that master's?
You definitely can do a job based on that master's. Example, if I do master's in occupational health and safety, I pick that master's और मैं कहता हूँ कि यार मुझे जब I finish that master's, I will apply for a job. If you do any masters in Australia, which is a 2 years masters, you get a 3 years work visa. Now, what a 3 years work visa is that you get 3 years work rights, full time living in Australia with full work rights to find work. Depends on the course you pick, depends how much in demand it is. And the way to check this is there's a PR list, which is permanent residency list. There's also a consolidated skilled occupation list. So there's skilled occupation list, which is your permanent residency list. You can Google it, you will find it. And there's consolidated skilled occupation list. So if you actually looked at a CSOL list, which is a consolidated skilled occupation list, and SOL list, skilled occupation list Australia, if your master's or the course you're doing lies in that, that means that you getting a job is extremely high because there's a high demand of it. Now, if your master's does not come to that list, then the chances of you getting a job after that is less, or you might have to go in a very regional part of Australia and your chances of getting a job may be higher there, but there's no guarantee, because every 2 years Australia changes their occupation skill list. And what happens is, if I pick a occupational health and safety masters, by the time I finish, they might have removed it. So that is something which is very tricky for anyone to answer. But if you do a master's, and once you finish, if you find a job, you can work in that, you can get permanent residency and all those things as well. Depends if your course stays in the skilled occupation list or not. That's simple as that.
Okay. And we have one more question related to masters. Would you recommend giving ADC while doing your masters in Australia, or can we give part one, then enroll in masters, and then give part two while doing masters?
So I would personally say do the masters while doing ADC. But the way I will plan it is, before you come to Australia, you've already done a lot of work, or a lot of, I would say, study for your theory exam. Because once you come to Australia, the problem is you'll be working as well. You will be doing your masters as well. Then you will be studying for your ADC as well. It's like three things. And at the end of the day, I always tell everyone that you are a human. Think that way as well. So ideally, if you ask me, my preference would be coming to Australia, doing the ADC alongside your masters. But in the case that you already have worked 90% of your theory exam, which is a written exam, already before you move to Australia. If no, then that is a better option, that you do your theory first, because you don't need any exposure in Australia for that, then start the masters.
Okay, sir, thank you. Then we have a few questions regarding work experience and improving your dental portfolio. We have one question. I don't have any clinical experience after my house job. What do I do for the work history requirement of initial assessment? And related to that, I'll add one more question. Could you ask, sir, that will it be helpful to create a digital portfolio of your cases done during house job to help you secure a job after passing the licensing exam?
See, I always say this, and I will talk in my cosmetic dentistry lecture about this as well, that creating a digital portfolio, or your social media presence, or a digital profile, always helps. Like, there comes a point where you don't have to say to someone, my work is so good, because they can see it everywhere. So this is like a straight up. The first question of this like part A of this question was that I don't have experience in Australia. To do ADC, you don't need any experience. They judge, if someone is 30 years experience with maxillofacial or orthodontic FCPS and everything, or you have no experience, they judge you with the same criteria, because this exam is based on someone who is their fresh graduate, who is coming out of dental school. They're judging you based on that. So if you come out of dental school, you have no experience, even no house job, to do ADC, to pass ADC, there's no problem. But what happens is, after you pass ADC, majority of us don't have permanent residency, and Australian laws keep changing. So if you have house job and at least 1 year of clinical experience after house job, which is 2 years, majority of the visas, once you pass ADC, they require 2 years of work experience for you to apply as a visa or permanent residency in Australia. So it doesn't help you in the beginning, but it helps you later. Because I know some dentists who actually had to go back to their country to get some experience, then come back. They passed ADC, but they didn't have enough experience to apply for their visa, if
Okay,
it
sir.
makes sense. And second, again, if you have cases, if you have portfolio, even if you don't put it on your social media, when you apply for a job, along with your CV, if you have 10 cases or 5 cases, you could post with your CV. It puts a massive impact on the person hiring you. So it definitely helps. Any way out there, it definitely helps.
Okay, sir. Our next question is regarding the course material for ADC exam. Would you recommend some good academies or what material people should use for preparing for the ADC exam?
So are we talking about part one or part two?
It's just a general question for both part one and part two.
So see, in my personal opinion, again, it's a very open opinion. I always say everyone is different. You know, even I know in dental school or in like when we were doing intermediate or O levels, people used to take tuitions. In my opinion, theory exam is a very not as straightforward, but all the information are already there. For theory, if someone doesn't want to take a course, you can do it without doing any course as well. However, if you want to, like these days, you'll notice with ADC, there's so many people. Anyone who passes ADC has their own course. So it's really hard for me to be out there and take a name out there. You can do some research. I would say anytime you pick a course, any course, part one, part two, make sure you can search that person who is teaching. Make sure they're the one who's teaching. It's not like they're just using their name and someone else is teaching on their behalf. Because you'll see that major problem is that if I say Dr. Mac Academy, but if I have two other people who are teaching the course, then you might not be getting me, you might be getting something else. So this is one point. Second is if you can see their work on maybe on their YouTube or their Facebook or Instagram about how they teach and their teaching methods, you might be able to connect with a mentor better. So you can make a decision on that because for me, one person may be better, but for you, it might not be. So if I say pick this person, maybe for you, it's not very good. So just do some research. Part one, you can pass without it as well. Part two depends on your budget. And then if you want to do an online course or an on-site course, you basically can do a bit of a mix.
Okay, sir. We're halfway through the questions. I hope you're not tired.
No, I'm okay. Yeah.
So our next question is, can you do or practice dentistry after your master's and get a PR?
So say that question again. Can
They
you,
ask, can you practice dentistry in Australia after your master's and get a PR
so masters in what?
in any subject? It's a general question.
So like masters in a dental thing.
Yes.
So as I said, to my
Masters of
first
Health.
point, masters of health.
Yes. Public health.
So again, it's masters in public health. So you can only work in public health. And
Okay.
so to work in Australia as a dentist, even you are a specialist or a general dentist, or even if you do a 3 years fellowship in Australia, you have to do ADC. There's no other. If you want to work as a dentist, then ADC you have to pass. If you're talking about that, if they did a public health masters and they can work in the health force in Australia doing public health, yes, they can, but not in dental, if it makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Uh, Up next we have, is there any opportunity for students who haven't graduated yet and are in their final year of BDS for any observership or internship in Australia? And if so, how do we stand out in any undergraduate internship when applying?
So generally, what happens is in universities like Australia, America, and all those, they have transfer programs. And what happens is, for example, I'm in my 3rd year of dental school or law school, or let's talk about dental school here in University of Michigan. And they say that, just for me to explore some another country and their lifestyle and how their teaching style is, University of Michigan can transfer me into University of Melbourne for their 3rd year 1 semester. But to do that, your university standards have to be at the same accreditation with the university you're getting transferred. That means is America and UK are the only 2 areas where certain universities allow graduates to work in Australia directly without ADC. So if your question is that, can I transfer or get internship or something like that? If your university guidelines don't meet that you can work without ADC, then no. The other thing can be observationship, kind of like that. That you can ask any dentist who's working in Australia. Like if someone's visiting and they can just do an observationship kind of like thing in their clinic or at their workplace for a month, that is very personal because that's private. But from an educational point of view, to get your credit points and university affiliation, basically you have to be at the same qualification. Otherwise, they won't allow it.
Okay, we have two more questions.
Yeah.
The first one is about the non-dental options that you mentioned. People are asking if you could explain a bit more about that.
So I would say I also have a detailed video on my YouTube, which masters to do. You can even watch that as well. But what I'm basically suggesting is if you say you don't want to do dental, then pick a course that is in the skilled occupation list. You can talk to my lawyer, and what lawyers do or the immigration agents do, some of them will just tell you whatever, but most of them, good ones, can guide you that this degree has been in the skilled occupation list from the past 8 years. And the way the demographic of Australia works, it's not going away for another 5 years or 10 years or 6 years predictably. You pick that course, which will basically guide you that if you're having that as your plan A, that gives you good chances of getting permanent residency and job. And that's what I say is these days, if you notice, majority of the masters are not in the skilled occupation list. The only one that is remaining there is masters in social work. But it really depends if someone really likes social work, because again, coming to my same thing is if you're not passionate about it and you just do it and then you end up in a trap, it might be a bit of an issue. The other non-clinical option, I would personally say, look into an MPhil and PhD option. Because MPhil PhD, what is basically doing is it's giving you scholarships as well. I know so many people from Islamabad and Pakistan, Islamabad, Karachi, Peshawar, who have come on a 70 to 80% scholarship. All they did is they spent 3 to 4 months looking at a research topic, contacted the professors and applied for an MPhil leading to a PhD program. And you actually can earn while doing your PhD, just working in the universities and stuff. It gives you a guaranteed PR with PhD, and you have a very secure career. But if you don't want to do PhD MPhil, then look for a master's or a degree that is in the skilled occupation list that is a higher chance of staying there. So at least you have a bit of a surety for your future career in Australia.
Okay, sir, thank you. Our next question is, should we go on an immigration path or a study/work visa?
See, it really depends on your situation. It's really hard for me to say. Like, I know a lot of people who get married and they come on like a marriage visa, and then they can work full time. It's actually best for them that way, that they just look for an immigration route because they're already getting full working rights because of their husband or their wife or their partner. If you can't do that, then the only option you have remaining is basically study. So with the study visa, you can just look for, if your uh, plan A is ADC, you look for any cheap masters, whatever comes in your budget, which gives you guaranteed PR, or not PR, visa. And then you get 2 years masters minimum, and then you get 3 years work visa. So that means you get 5 years of doing your ADC exams, and hopefully you can work out your way during those 5 years. However, if you have immigration, because I know some people have family who can sponsor them, but it's very rare. If you can, then might be in your situation, but everyone's situation is very different. So it's really hard for me to say which one's going to work best for you, but both can work individually. It's all about you coming to Australia, whichever way you work.
Okay, sir. And our last question regarding ADC is, it's sort of these two questions are sort of the same genre. Can we do a non-clinical degree in Pakistan and is it recognized in Australia and then get a job on that basis while preparing for ADC? So, for example, if we do a master's in public health here in Pakistan, would that be recognized in Australia, number one, and would we be able to get a job on the basis of that?
So you'll notice that if you do a master's in public health in Pakistan or maybe from Dubai or Qatar, most of the areas you'll notice you can go to the same kind of like area. So from masters in public health from Pakistan, you can go to Dubai, you can go to Qatar, you can go to Saudi Arabia. It's going to help. It's not generally recognized in Australia. However, if you have already done masters in public health, you can look into applying for a PhD program, because someone who's applying for a bachelor's to a MPhil leading to PhD, their chances of getting scholarships, and for someone who has done a master's in public health, for them to get scholarship, it's a very high rate. So you might even get a 90% scholarship or a very high, rate of getting permanent residency and already a secure job. Because what they do with masters in public health is, if you actually find the right person and do some research on it, they will give you a package in a way that you will get your PhD program. As soon as you finish your PhD, you already have your PR and 5 years work contract ready for you. So I think that might be a bit better. But if someone says, like, if I can do just MPH in Pakistan and come to Australia work, basically you can't, unfortunately.
Okay, and a similar question to that, and the last one, I promise. Can American qualified dentists, DDists after an INBDE, move to Australia later on in their careers? And if yes, do we need to take ADC all over again?
See, that's the one. So if someone's from the USA want to come to Australia, what Australian dental or association have kind of like done for them is, they can do dentistry for 2 years, but within 2 years they have to pass the part 2 exam. So they can work for 2 years, but within 2 years they have to pass the part 2 exam. If they can't pass the part 2 exam within 2 years, then basically they have to leave Australia. The only two countries Australia allows it because they have a tie with UK, Ireland, and Canada. So if someone who has similar tie with University of Melbourne, and their thing is University James Cook University with I think Ontario something. I think there's two universities in Canada. I don't exactly know. So from Canada you can move, from UK and Ireland you can move to Australia without doing ADC. But from US, you still need to do part 2, but you at least get 2 years. I know a lot of people who just come here, work for 2 years, and then just go back to America.
Okay, sorry. Thank you so
Another
much.
thing, another thing I wanted to ask, because I get a lot of this messages saying that a lot of our immigration agents tell us that you can't do dental hygiene application from Pakistan because you'll get rejected with your visa, because you've already done a bachelor's, you've done a higher bachelor's in terms of dentist. Now you're going for a lower like dental hygiene. So the way to do that is you come on a public health or any of the degree masters. In your first year, you basically sit with a lawyer and they change your course to dental hygiene. So there are a lot of ways that if I come to Australia on one degree, but I feel like I've made the wrong choice, during the first year or the first semester, you can change your master's or degree to another course. It allows you to do that. It's just very difficult while you're in Pakistan. So if a lot of people say, I maybe public health is not the best master's for me, but if it giving you better chances in terms of getting the visa, then you can do that. But once you come to Australia, you can always change your degree as well. So there's no like hard and fast rule that you can't change.
Okay, and so we've received so many questions regarding dental hygiene. As soon as you mentioned that path, I'm just going to take one more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we have to pass a test for dental hygienist, or does dental hygiene require ADC exam?
No, so there's a dentist board and there's a dental hygiene board, and I'll just go back to, if I can. I actually did mention it here. There. So there's a general dentist exam is separate, and there's a dental hygiene exam is completely separate. If you're a dental hygienist with at least 2 years degree equivalent or a 3 years degree, then you can apply for a dental hygiene exam, which is not an ADC for dentists, it's for dental hygienists, and you can do it if someone is already a dental hygienist. However, if you're not a dental hygienist, but if you want to do it, basically just do a 2 years or a 3 years bachelor's. But the thing with dental hygiene is you can earn like a great amount of money. It's a less stressful job. It guarantees you a permanent residency, and you're still in the dental force. And just giving everyone an example, if a average dentist in Australia is earning somewhere between $80,000 to $200,000, the dental hygienist is actually earning $80,000 to $100,000, which is very close to what an initial start salary of a dentist is. So dental hygiene still have great careers. You can have a great lifestyle and everything. And it's the one thing that guarantees you a permanent residency, because every clinic needs a hygienist. And that's why when people ask me what's my preferred course, if I have to go back, and I just go back in 2015 now, and I feel like now I have to pick a course if I want to move to Australia, I will come to Australia on a master's in public health because it's easiest to get visa, and then I'll come here and change it to a dental hygiene. It's a 3 years. I'm part of the dental industry. I'm seeing patients, and that way I'm not like really stressed on my dental journey, my Australian journey. And in the future, anytime I pass ADC, I can work as a dentist. Even if I don't pass ADC, I'm still in the dental industry. I'm still working really well, because I feel our concept of dental hygiene is only cleaning. In Australia, there's oral health therapist as well. I'm not sure a lot of people are aware of it or not. OHT. OHTs are similar to hygienist, which is the same kind of like degree, allows you to do dental fillings as well, allows you to do whitening treatments as well, allows you to do some minor composite and cosmetic bonding as well. So when you're in OHTs and hygienists, it's a massive difference. So you're still like doing hands-on good clinical procedures on patients. And basically, I feel like it's a much better pathway than doing masters in public health. Completely different. You don't know if you're going to get a job or not. I think there's no voice.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an in-depth explanation of all the questions. I'm sure all the queries have been answered, and we can move on to the next part of the presentation, the cosmetic side of your lecture.
So how much time do we have remaining?
We have 25 minutes.
Okay, because I want to know, because just stop me, because when I talk about cosmetic dentistry, I just keep going. So I just want to make sure I'm just not taking.
Sure, sir.
All right. And then I just want to go back to here. Can everyone see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So when it comes to cosmetic dentistry, like the way my career started in 2012, I wanted to become an oral maxillofacial surgeon. That was my passion. In 2016, 2017, it started change to being into cosmetic dentistry. I worked with two amazing clinicians. I was working with them as their dental assistant. And I saw patients crying in the chair when you do their front teeth. And you realize how much of a connection cosmetics is. It's such an emotional journey, roller coaster ride for patients. And from there, I got so touched and connected that I felt like I just want to do this and I want to perfect this. And my passion, I do both porcelain and composite veneers, but my passion is composite veneers. And I try to do my 10 to 12 layer resin veneers in which I can make them look better than porcelain. They are 100% non-invasive. That means you're not drilling the tooth at all. You're just completely adding the tooth. You have not done any damage to the tooth. And while making it predictable with the techniques we have developed in the past 10 years with my mentors and stuff, that it basically gives you an amazing long-term predictable results. This is photo that you can see is one of my resin cases as well. This is a composite veneer case. Again, this is the same picture that I saw before, having a clear vision. The reason I'm showing this picture again is this is me standing in front of King's College London, but I planned this in 2015, no, 2016, when I initially thought I want to get into cosmetic dentistry and becoming a cosmetic dentist. I looked at it and I was like, I want to do this course. And I planned it that, okay, let's not do it now. Let's do it at a point where I feel like I've learned everything cosmetic dentistry. So when I go to that course, I'm trying to perfect my stuff and the knowledge that I do. And it again comes to the same point, is creating your vision and all that. I'm not going to go in detail about that. This is my direct composite artistry program that I've been started to teach from this year now. And we are going all around Australia. And then we have plans to go Philippines, Hong Kong, Dubai, start of next year as well. That is more related to my composite program. But this is that one thing I hear a lot about composite. And everyone says this a lot. Everyone says composite or resin is a shit treatment. It doesn't work. It doesn't last. It's a plastic. It has poor results. It's not hygienic. And if you see the latest literature, it says the patient dissatisfaction rate of composite is around 67%. And when I actually see this, and I always feel like, where are dentists going wrong? Is it composite or is it our technique? Because when I see my results, and this is just some articles I'm kind of like saying that, you know, how they say the dissatisfaction rate or the perio issues or the ugly side. So I always say is it composite or is it you? Because let's reassess it. Because if my composite, and in the last 5 years, my composite success rate is 98% and patient satisfaction rate is 98.7% over like 200 cases I've done, I feel like, why is dissatisfaction rate of other dentists 67% and mine so high? There has to be a connection. And when you actually start to see, I say, okay, this is my composite. This is, I think, a 3 years review in which the patient came back and we literally just took some photos. And we took some photos, we reassessed it, and we're like, okay, I don't have to do anything. There's no chip. There's no staining of the tooth. Patient is really happy with the aesthetics. What did we do there? And that's where I come to the same point. And this is the same thing I teach my ADC students as well. Never skip the basics. I think we are in the era of copy paste dentistry. Everyone is teaching you injection molding technique. Everyone is teaching you digital smile design. Everyone is teaching you, you know, the computer is going to do everything for you. The ceramist is going to do everything for you. And the main artistry from the clinician being the cosmetic person has gone away. We take impressions, we send it to the lab, just allow the ceramist to decide everything. And the ceramist, being skillful, they make everything really nice, polished, perfect contacts. Tooth restoration junctions amazing, and our porcelain works so much better and lasts longer. And we always say that, oh, porcelain works better, composite doesn't. But I feel like maybe us as a clinician, we need to work on our skills before we actually make that statement. Because I always say this, that it's easy for me to say it doesn't work, but I feel like you should say this statement or change the statement saying this, it doesn't work in my hands. And that is which is important. And comes to the functional side, any porcelain or composite thing you notice, it's going to have this functional 6, I call it: contact, excess, overhang, tooth restoration junction, cusp location, cusp height. I can guarantee you, anytime your composite fails or your porcelain fails, you have not worked or you have failed on one of the 6 areas. Another thing which is a big problem is everyone wants to do cosmetic dentistry, but cosmetic dentistry is impossible without having an understanding of these 4 disciplines. And that is your perio, which is your periodontics, your orthodontics, then comes your prosthodontics. And then if I combine all the 3, this is half of it. And then now, after all that experience in doing veneers, I feel like the half of it remaining is functional dentistry, which is your occlusion. Anytime you don't understand occlusion, your veneers may look good, but they're not going to last very long. And that's why you notice when I planned it to be a cosmetic dentist, I started to look at other cosmetic dentists, best cosmetic dentists around the world. And I was to take photos of their cases, and I was to see that what have they been doing they're missing out. And you notice that every case they teach or they treat, perio ortho prosto interface is beautiful, and then great knowledge of functional dentistry. Why is one clinician so confident that their dentistry is the best out there and it's not going to break? And if you actually know it, this is the impact that you can make on your patients' lives. Now, I don't know if this is a video, I'm not sure if it's going to play it or not, but I can just quickly play it and skip it because we don't have a lot of time. And this is on my socials, you can watch it.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh, so good. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
I know.
Oh, wow. Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Wow. That looks good. Yeah, it looks.
So let's skip that for now. The most important thing when you start any cosmetic dentistry is your records. And even in Australia or US or UK, I have friends all around the world now. I talk to them and you notice that majority of the cases that don't turn up well is their records, because you only plan with your records, and majority of them either don't take records or don't take good photos to begin with. And I always say there's the case you don't plan is going to definitely end up being a disaster. Now, have a quick look at this photo. This is not a bad photo, but this is the biggest mistake we see every day. That patient smiles, we take a photo, and we like start planning the smile based on that. And what's the issue there? It's a good photo, but the problem is patient hasn't smiled for 20 years or 15 years or 10 years. That's major concern. The lip resists back. This is the same patient. Can you see the difference now? How much gum does she show here? And look at the difference here. Now, if someone would have planned their smile based on the left, and when you finish the veneers and she's showing all the gums, you'll be like, oh my God. And that's why your records kind of like help you. And the way you take good records is such an importance. Same thing. Now, any of the patient face photos, generally half the patients, we sometimes have consent, don't consent. So you can take photos, but please don't share it on any of the social media channels, because some of them are influencers, some don't like their faces anywhere. So any teeth photos, please feel free to post it, but please don't post any face photos. I would really appreciate all of you. Photos, and then know your patient. Again, I don't know what the cosmetic trend in Pakistan is, but a different part of Australia, like I'm in Melbourne now, I've moved to Melbourne, working with one of the biggest cosmetic brands in Australia now, Dental Boutique. It's different. I was previously in Canberra, it was a bit different. In Sydney, it's a bit different. Same in US, Miami and Los Angeles people need like white, different teeth. Uh, some patients want that natural look. So you need to know your patient before you start the treatment. And I'm not sure how you do your consults, but, and again, I don't have time right there to go in detail and depth about it, but you need to know about your consultation process. Because if you don't know, you're ending up in deep trouble. And this is another patient that she came in, she wanted to just get a wider, brighter smile. Her budget was with resin. She couldn't do porcelain. I was like, we can make your results in porcelain. She showed me a specific photos and specificity of what she wants, and we wanted to aim for that. This is how I do my consultation process. I take a photo and I write those points on my iPad, or you can do it on a paper, just to make sure you are exactly aware what your patient wants and your demands are. So later they don't want. She wanted flat edges. She wanted white teeth. And if you know your patient, you can end up with something they'll be happy with. And then you can take more photos if you're also like me, who like to do social media and stuff. This was the photo. I did it for my social media. And this was a photo my patient shared later. And she was really happy and pleased with the smile. Now I'm going to show you another case, which is I genuinely believe in, and which is actually same thing. Let me just share this. This is what everyone teaches these days. You'll notice every course runs on cosmetic dentistry. They want to teach you digital smile design, digital smile design, digital. They're so teeth focused that they don't look at the patient's face. And I always say this, that I don't care how the teeth look zoomed in. When you do in a macro level, even if you're not sharing the faces on social media, you really need to let them know. And this is what I follow. I like to follow the protocol, which I call it as facially driven smile makeovers. The face should dictate what your smile should be. And I'm going to show you a case which is going to guide you a bit better on what my theory says. This is a before photo. Now, this patient came, she already saw two of the top cosmetic dentists in Sydney and one in Melbourne before she came to me in Canberra. She said, they've already done mock-up on my teeth with porcelain. I don't want to get my teeth shaved. I just want something natural. That was her wedding in, I think, 6 months. So she wanted something go. Again, we zoomed in photo. We want the before photo as a face, and we start analyzing how the face is going to dictate me. Now, I don't rely on any digital smile designing. I don't rely on any ceramist. I do my mock-up directly in the patient's mouth in the consultation appointment or the next appointment with flowable composite or packable composite. I use flowable, whatever's there. Build the teeth up where I feel it's going to look right. And then I take an impression of that or a digital scan, and that is my dictation for my final design and for the patients to visualize it, what a smile should look like. Now, this is my direct hand mock-up. It generally takes me under 10 minutes to do 10 teeth. So I generally just take flowable composite, just put, don't need to be perfect. We're just visualizing on how it's going to look. The patient sees it, gives you feedback, and then we basically decide on it. Once you've done the direct mock-up, this is my day one. in which I do a very white composite intentionally, because doing a white composite, especially you playing with resin, you're hiding everything. So the next day, you're basically doing a bit of a cutback and putting the effects, making it look natural. So the first day she comes, she's going to give me an idea on how white she feels. She feels it's too white. Then I'm going to go a bit more natural. This is me just with the pencil lines refining. The middle picture you see is me doing a cutback on the resin. It's all on the resin. If you haven't touched the tooth, and then I'm going to put my 10 layers, in which I'm going to put the 7 different colors or tints, and I'm going to put 7 different layers of resin to match it, to make it look real. And if you notice, even this 12 o'clock view, which is my favorite photo, it tells you we still in the border of the lip. We haven't crossed it and make it look bulky, because a lot of people say if you do no prep veneers, how are you making it thin? This is again on the face, look beautiful. We like the design. The patient was really happy. This was an immediate after. And then this was in 2 weeks review. Patient was really happy. And this was the kind of like the rundown of it. And then you basically go back. This is my process. And this was the just a bit of different views and angles. And then she shared her wedding photos with me. She was really happy with the smile and everything. The other case, if I share with all of you, would be this case. And this was a very special case. I call it a magic case because the front tooth was quite forward and rotated. Now, that patient came to me, she came through my Instagram and she said, I know you do 100% no prep veneers. I went to 7 different consults before coming to you, and everyone's like, we'll shave this front tooth or we'll align the tooth. I don't want to do any of that. Can you help me? And first I thought, how can I help that without it being 100% no prep? But then when I did my designing of the case, yes, the tooth is rotated, it's forward, but it's still within the lip frame. And especially when I layer my resin, I could do a cutback, which might be minor touching the tooth, may not be anything. And this is the result we reached. This is 100% no prep. Beautiful result. We didn't drill the tooth at all. And just from there to there was all done in resin. And this was this case, which we did, again, almost 12 layers, 7 colors, 7 layers of resin to make it look realistic. And I think that's the best part about this case, is because everyone asks me, show us an occlusal photo that is in front of you. All I did in this case is added more on the mesial, on the lingual side, and a slightly on the distal side labially, just to have a rotation, which there's an amazing Brazilian dentist who calls it Philip Bazar optical illusion effect, in which the tooth is tilted, but you can't tell. And this was the patient's, I think,
beautiful smile.
I think we created this
And
Instagram
I'm
for
very
her.
excited for the end
And I
result.
always say, you look at the patient's face, and that's going to dictate on how everything's looking like.
Me and the babies. Yeah, it's great. Great.
This is the last case, and I'm going to finish my presentation with this case because I think we're already a bit over time. This case was very similar. She had braces for over 2 years. She was actually getting Invisalign from a specialist. She was frustrated. She was like, okay, I've had enough. I've seen you do 100% no prep veneers. Can you help me? I don't want porcelain veneers. I don't want my teeth shaved. Can you help me? And we were like, okay, let's do a bit of a workup. Now, I never be really cocky out there and say that, I will help you. I always say, let me do my records. We will decide on that, This was her initial.
So I'm looking to, obviously, I want an aesthetically pleasing smile, straight, nice and white.
Yeah. And this was her result. 100% non-invasive, no drill veneers, 12 layers, match everything. Patient was happy.
Start whenever you're ready.
This was her final result.
I'm going out.
And then from there to there, this is the concept that I say that 100% no drill veneers, and that is the workflow in which you build it up with a single layer. You design it in a way that the first layer is thick, you cut back, you do a bit of a layering, which is skillful, technical, but I feel like it's just about once you learn it, you can actually develop a protocol that allows it to make it look real. And this is a before and after. I think there was a month review. Patient was really happy. We're still in the lip frame. Ideally, I would have aligned the teeth a bit better, but then whatever we could work up with, still being 100% non-invasive, giving a natural look, we could do that. This is again another case. I'm not sure if you have time to show this or not, but I'm just gonna quickly.
We have time, sir. We have ample time. You can take your
Okay.
time.
Okay, that's good. This was the case. Patient came in and she said, I don't want to do alignment of the teeth. Now, that is my question when I'm teaching my young colleagues or young dentists is, how are you going to balance someone's face and a smile? If they don't want alignment, that means you need to know concepts of perio and how much gum lift can you do? Do you need to do a surgical gum lift? Do you need to do a non-surgical gum lift? What are the methods? How will you plan this case? This is me doing it. So because she didn't want an alignment, the first thing I did is I cut the incisal bit to where I felt I need to, so I could visualize things a lot better. Because until unless you don't visualize it, it's going to be very tricky. So you remove what needs to be removed first. Then if you notice, I have on the lateral, I've marked my zenith point where I'm going to be starting to do my soft tissue laser first, and later I'm going to be doing my surgical later. And then this is my gum lift. If you notice, we kind of like went to the point where I even did gum lift for the premolars as well, because my visualization was telling me that in the future, when she's smiling more, she's going to be showing the premolars as well. So we're going back, and these were my handmade temporaries just to visualize how the smile looks like. And her budget was less, so we went for a mixed case in which we did resin for the back, a porcelain for the front teeth, just to balance everything. This is us visualizing. After my surgical gum lift, I had the temporaries on for at least 2 weeks. You notice in 2 weeks, the gums are already looking beautiful in terms of the surgical gum lift. And this was the before and after. And then these are the ceramics and porcelain mixed together. That's the final review. And if you notice on the top and bottom photo, I think I didn't like the shape on one, so I kind of like reviewed the shapes a bit. And again, you could always take mixed photos with your clients to visualize things. And the face is gonna tell us more on how the smile's looking. And again, you can always take some mixed shots for Instagram and stuff, but I feel like, especially the smile reactions, it's so critical because it's such a special moment that I feel like everyone should be recording these. And this were her 1 month review. She was really happy. You already notice when she initially arrived to how she looks now. She's already started taking care of herself. She's like, taking care of her hair, her skin. So I feel like smile is such a different part of us, it just changes us completely as a person.
Keeping on as I look.
And I'm just gonna finish the presentation with a special picture, which a lot of people ask me that show us the zoomed in photo of your layering techniques. I'm gonna show you that. This I highly recommend everyone that if you really want to be good at cosmetic dentistry, start drawing on a paper, drawing on an iPad, drawing on a tooth, literally draw on everything. You just start to visualize a lot better. And this is the case I did yesterday. Just showing you zoomed in look of how all those 12 layers look like inside before I do my final 2 layers to seal everything. And you notice how we've kind of like tried to match things to the point where as soon as I do the last layer, it's going to make it what we call it, make it look real. And I think that's good. We should finish from there.
Thank you so much, sir. That was an amazing lecture. I think the second half was captivating and so insightful. We don't get a lot of really good, cosmetic dentistry examples. And we're happy that we got you today because it was simply amazing. Even the feedback, if you can see in the chat screen, everyone is truly mesmerized.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Exactly. So I don't think we have any further questions. There was just one question left in the previous part. There was a person asking, you mentioned the PhD route as well. And they were asking, how do you contact a researcher if you don't have any previous research experience? How do you contact a supervisor?
So generally what happens is if you open any university, like say University of Sydney, right? If you open the university, you will see the portfolio and profile of all the lecturers, professors, their senior lecturers, clinicians, non-clinicians, everything there. And along with their details, you always find their email address. So that's where I say that do your homework in a way that you basically look at what I did initially when I was thinking at one point, and what my friends did is you basically try to look the speaker up, search their portfolio, and that allows you to see what kind of research they've done in the past, what kind of interest they have. Now, for example, if I'm doing a PhD in the future, like helping people do a PhD, or with some research work, if someone messages me anything about public health, I might not even reply because it's not my interest area, right? But if someone messages me about cosmetic dentistry and about non-invasive treatment, I might be actually excited to work with them. And that's where it comes to the point is when you find a speaker or a person who you think you want to work with, find what their style is, what their background is, what kind of work they do, what their area of interest in. Then you do the research. Once you have made your plan and highlighted the points, then make sure you have a very professionally written email sent to them. Because let me tell you something, this may be your first or last chance, because that first impression is so important that it may make or break. Maybe that person gets so excited about your topic, they actually help you get all the sponsorship. And I know so many professors, they will. So I would say there's so many universities in Australia. Look it up, look at the professors' bio, their details, look them up on their social media, see what kind of work excites them, and try to find a topic that, for example, if you have a list of 10 or 20 kind of like professors, you try to find a topic, and whichever topic meets with that professor, you basically try to formulate a good email proposal, 2 weeks or a month or 2 months, spend on it, then send it to them so you have a good chance. But everything you notice, especially in the world of social media we live in, it's so easy to contact me these days, right? Because any message I'll see and I'll be able to actually contact someone who actually I feel like they've done the work. So I feel like everything is open out there. You just have to spend some time and if you just show the interest and someone connects with you, life changes within seconds. We don't even realize.
Okay, sir, thank you. And we have a question from a person who's asking about you. Did you face any culture shock? What was it like working in another country? And how did you become the Dr. Mac?
See, it's another like how I became Dr. Mac is like a very long story. Maybe if I ever visit Pakistan and because I have a lot of requests to come to Pakistan in the future to teach these kind of veneers and stuff. So maybe we were thinking maybe in 25 or 26, we might think on it. I can share one day. But in terms of the culture shock, initially, I'll be honest, we all are humans. You feel that, you go to a new country, you feel like maybe you don't belong here. The English is so different. Their traditions are so different. Their style of work is so different. You feel like you're coming from one place and you're looking at all that amazing clinician doing the work, and you're like, you know, all that imposter syndrome and everything. You're like, what am I doing here? But then I feel like, and I genuinely say this, I used to say this in 2014 in Pakistan as well with my friends, that my aim is to be the best best dentist in the world at that time. I didn't know cosmetic, but I was like, I want to be the best in the world. That's what my line was. So if you genuinely believe in yourself and work hard on it, like even today, it was a Sunday here, but I was actually working today because I had to do my cases. So I fly to Canberra once every 2 months to do my cases. So I just finished my case, came here, I'm talking to you all. And I feel like if you actually work hard and believe in yourself and just, on daily motivate yourself that you could do it, all these things are kind of like just stay on the side and you become someone that you always wanted to see, and you always have that in you, and you just motivate yourself someday as well.
Well, that's great, sir. And with that, we end our session with you. We appreciate you for taking out time for us. And thank you so much for inspiring us. I'm sure everyone is truly mesmerized. So we hope you had a very good experience with APDSA Pakistan, and we hope that we can work in the future as well.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
for joining us.
Allah Hafiz, and God bless you, all of you. Okay.
That's
Allah.
it. Thank you.
Take care.
So, dear participants, that was Dr. Murtaza Makhdoom. We have a 20-minute short break, and then after that, we have the amazing Dr. Fizan waiting for us. So don't go anywhere. But there'll be a short break. You can leave the meeting, and then you can rejoin afterwards at 2 o'clock. So don't miss it.